Yo, what's cracking YouTube? It's your boy Anthony Spurts, and I'm back with another video. And I'm pretty excited about this one. I've been playing new Killing Floor 3 game for 150 hours solo. Yep, 150 hours by myself, going crazy. And I have some thoughts, man. This game is definitely, in terms of comparing it to Killing Floor 2, which I've been playing 150 hours of, but that's a whole different video. But in terms of Killing Floor 2, this game, Killing Floor 3, is a step in a couple different directions. Essentially, it's a step forward, a step back, and a couple steps to the side. So lock in with me and see what I'm talking about and all my thoughts on Killing Floor 3. But just like that, we about to jump into it. Let's get it. Alright, jumping straight into it. So this game, Killing Floor 3, if you're not familiar, is like a wave-based horde shooter, and you can think of games like Call of Duty Zombies, Left 4 Dead, things like that. You can get the idea. You have 6 waves, right? You choose your difficulty: normal, hard, hell on earth, and you have the first 5 waves where you're fighting against smaller, medium to large enemies, and then the 6th wave is the boss wave. You choose your loadout, and in between rounds you can change, upgrade your gun or get upgraded versions of your gun, armor, things of that nature. So you kind of get an idea of how the game is structured. This time around, Killing Floor 3 is very kinetic. You're running and gunning. There's a slide, there's a dash, which is kind of like a sidestep in any direction. So think of like a Bloodborne step, or in Call of Duty they have like the dive or whatever. So just ways to get out the way, and then you have the crouch and things like that. So this game is very kinetic. Pick a direction, run. The enemies chase you. You kind of lead them on a direction, pick them off. You get the idea. So that's kind of how the game is structured overall. This game comes with character classes, and the characters are tied to character classes. So just focus on the fact that this game comes with different character classes. So you have Commando, Firebug, Medic, Ninja, Sharpshooter, and Engineer. I believe that's all the character classes, and each one basically has their own set of skills and can do things differently. Obviously you have like the Medic that can heal and things like that, the Sharpshooter who's good at hitting those weak points and kind of like sniping or more precision based. Commandos, the pray and spray. You get the idea, right? And when you first start and you're progressing, each class is really good and really even, right? My problem comes when you get later on in the game and you start to get to those harder difficulties and level up these classes with their abilities and get their weapons and stuff decked out, because ultimately the balancing in this game isn't really great, especially on Hell on Earth, because you start to see that certain characters are going to be better than others just off of balancing alone. So that was kind of a bummer. And also, I'm standing on business. I'm down on this hill. As far as right now, every time I play Hell on Earth, it's just not worth it. There's really no incentive to play that, and Hell on Earth is the hardest difficulty you can play on. And usually when you finish a match, you get XP and you get components that you can use to upgrade weapons and edit your loadout. You don't really, at least in my experience, you don't really get as much rewards as you would when playing just regular hard mode. So to me, Hell on Earth really wasn't worth it in the long run as I progress further into the game. And maybe that could change because Tripwire is patching in stuff and offering updates and things like that. But as of right now, Hell on Earth is not it. If you're wondering, I picked this game up for full retail price, which is $40, which isn't bad. I was very surprised at the pricing of this game because it's actually pretty decent for $40, and it's worth it. But I'd say you have to take it with a grain of salt, because this game does come with problems, both performance and some of the stuff that's baked into the game. So I'd say if you are curious about it, you have the $40, and you're fans of games like this, I think it would more than likely be worth the purchase. If you're a KF2 fan or just a Killing Floor fan, that really depends on you and how open you are to new experiences, because Killing Floor 3 really offers a different experience from Killing Floor 2 and Killing Floor 1, obviously. It's very different, and it's just very divisive, especially among the community. But yeah, there are still a lot of glitches and things in the game that I'm just kind of like, not the greatest fan of. But overall, I do feel like the game has really good potential and it's fun. 150 hours solo, and I'm still playing it right now. What are some of these problems that KF3 has had? I hear you ask. That's a great question. So, as far as glitches and optimization go, the game, I don't know, after patching and everything, runs pretty smoothly now. But when I first got it, it was very, very choppy, very stuttery. If this game was a person, they'd have a severe speech impediment, and you would need subtitles to understand them. That's how bad it was moving. And when you have issues like that, it affects gameplay. So, for instance, the character class Ninja is obviously based off ninja. So you have a katana and ninja stars and things like that. So when you're doing your ninja thing with your sword, when you have to block and parry, and that whole system is good, but when you have stutters and frame drops and things like that, it actually makes the character like really hard to play. And I've gotten killed multiple times because of issues with the performance and also certain things that are baked into the game. You used to, prior to the patch, obviously, I used to get stuck in maps, have enemies stuck in areas I couldn't reach, things that would make me have to quit out, stuff like that. And the optimization was just not the greatest. Now it's pretty smooth. There's stutters here and there, but I haven't ran into any other of the glitches that I used to. But mechanically, there are a lot of things in this game that I'm just like mixed to negative about. The running, it works when it works, but a lot of the times when you're getting hit or vaulting over objects, it's hard to keep momentum, and your character will straight up stop sprinting or sprint so slowly that it's just not worth it. And this game has weird things that they put inside it that I'm just kind of like, why? For instance, like I mentioned prior, you do have a slide and a dash, and the dash is cool because you can get out the way and dodge and do your thing, but the dash button is also the crouch button. So sometimes you'll be meaning to dodge or do your thing and you'll crouch, and that's crazy annoying, and it can get in the way. And certain mechanical things like that can get you killed or ruin your run. And there's no like self revive. I am a solo player, so it can really get annoying to have your run in because of mechanical stuff or because of stutters and things like that. So Killing Floor 3 comes with quite a bit of content. You know, when you first load in, you have, I think there's like I want to say like 6 or 7 maps. By the time I finish this video, I'll put it in there and tell you exactly how many. But I really like the maps. I like how they're laid out, things like that. Obviously, it's a little different from KF2 where you have different tools, and one of the tools is the multi-tool, which you can use to create zip lines, open armor chests, things like that, open certain doors. But for the most part, it's open. You have your pathways, you choose your pathways, you're running. Everything's interconnected and flows pretty well, and all the maps are really they're decent to good. So I have no complaints there. You load in your map, you pick your difficulty, you pick your character, and you go for it. As far as leveling up, because you have abilities that you have access to. Each ability is different per character that you choose. For instance, my sharpshooter has one of my favorite abilities in the game. She basically has a version of the Yondu whistle from Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's amazing. You hit a button, and basically she has this arrow that will target enemies and just completely obliterate them. It's awesome. And things like that. And the medic has this huge bubble force field that heals people but also poisons the enemy. Commando has a drone that shoots poison, kind of like poison blobs that drop over the ground and damage enemies. Firebug has a thing where they slam the ground, everything's on fire. Cool things like that. Now, the engineer is probably my least favorite perk. There's nothing inherently wrong with him, but I just feel like his special ability, for starters, is very overwatchy. I just don't like it, and sometimes it just doesn't work right. Like when you're in doorways, his special ability is like you summon a boombox type thing and use sound waves to kill the enemy. It works, but it's just weird, and I've had the most problems with it especially since your special ability is how you kind of even the odds when you're fighting bigger enemies. The enemies in this game are called Zeds, by the way. Not really zombies, but they're kind of zombie adjacent mutant things. But anyway, you use your special abilities to kind of even the playing field, get rid of larger enemies or groups or whatever. And his are kind of like for me. But for the most part, the characters are cool. I like upgrading. I think that's some of the best parts of the game when you get these components every time you finish a run or you die, whatever. You get XP, you get components, and the components you can use to make attachments for your guns, and that makes these guns stronger. And that's where you can really express yourself and make different types of builds. Any character class can use any type of gun, but depending on your special abilities on your character class, you can use certain weapons and they'll be stronger than if you use others. You get the idea. But I think that's when the game really starts to shine, when it gets creative. You get to choose which abilities you want. You choose an ability, you can upgrade it up to 4 times, make it stronger, and really build out your character. And when things are moving and everything is clicking, it's really fun. Overall, I think that when it comes to the maps, characters, weapons, and how you upgrade those characters, it's actually really solid, and I enjoy it a lot. If you can overlook the setbacks and some of the little hiccups of the game, it's a really fun time. I have certain other little nitpicks like reload canceling, which was a big part of KF2. KF3, sometimes it doesn't really work that well, or there not being as many melee weapons in the game. Obviously, Tripwire is updating stuff, and there's big things coming in their roadmap, so this could be fixed very soon. And I know there's new character classes, perks is what they're called, but character classes coming in the future, and I can't wait for that. Things like ammo bags, right? The ammo bag in this game is a tool that you can use, but in KF2 they had ammo scattered around the map, and I kind of miss that in KF3 because especially when you're on like Hell on Earth, you start to run out of ammo sometimes. You gotta try to strategically use ammo bags, and it can become a whole thing. I know they want it to be a strategy type of thing, but it can get weird, right? And I say all that to say there are a lot of decisions I feel like Tripwire made that were kind of weird when you compare it to Killing Floor 2, but I think if you're open-minded enough, this game is really fun, right? I like the weapons, I like how they feel, I like the fact that you can fight bigger Zeds and get them to a point where you can execute them kind of Doom style, where they're glowing, you go up there, execute them, they explode. That's cool. I really like the executions. They need a couple more of them, but everything feels solid. I think if they fix the things that need to be fixed, and you can overlook certain things that are mechanically baked into the game that are kind of meh, or make you drag it down just a little bit, you're gonna have a good time. $40, and it's not overdoing it on the microtransactions. They got a free battle pass. I've tested everything, never spent anything beyond the 40 buying it, and everything seems to be working. So the game seems solid. But yeah, they definitely need to work on certain parts of it as far as rebalancing for sure, fixing some of those glitches and stutters, and making it worth my while to keep on playing. Their roadmap is still active. They're still working on the game. There's supposed to be a huge update this Halloween. We're gonna tap in and see what that is looking like. So one of the last things I want to touch on is story and the characters. I think the way that the story is delivered in this game, especially since me being a solo player, it's decent. They try to introduce you to the gameplay with certain little mini, I call them like campaign, right, where you load into the map and you have these small objectives, and you can hear through the dialogue in the game. They kind of let you in on story bits, and it's cool. It works. It serves its purpose. I can't wait to see what they do with it in the future. Also, writing as far as the characters, and usually in this game, what I really liked about the Killing Floor franchise is like the characters dialogue lines are usually unique or funny or whatever. And obviously, if you know about Killing Floor, Killing Floor is infamous, or is very popular because it's really British, right? The game is supposed to be set in basically like the UK area, or like in a British area, and it's incredibly British and like hilarious. This game's writing is a little on the nose and a little basic. And I mean, it's not annoying, but some of the dialogue could be better, not gonna lie. And each dialogue is different depending on which character you pick. It just doesn't quite have that same charm as like a Killing Floor 1 and 2, but they are still updating it, adding more characters and things like that. So hopefully they do better with that and like offer more as far as the story. Also, besides the campaign, quote unquote, where you're doing objectives, you don't really have that anymore in this game. In your average game, you have regular waves, and then you have what's called mutations, which is certain zombies will have a damage boost, certain fire damage will be boosted, so you do more damage with fire weapons, or you'll fight a horde, which doubles the amount of enemies you fight. There's little little things that'll change during the match just to keep you on your toes, which I like. But there's no more objectives. And KF2, you could choose different modes and have different objectives where you're fixing stuff, or you gotta go pick up something, things like that to keep you on your toes, keep it fresh. KF3 doesn't really have any of that, and they just use them. The closest thing you'll get is mutations, which alters the enemies you fight or how much damage you do, things like that. So hopefully they can do something a little different with keeping the retention of like things to do, so it doesn't become stale, if that makes any sense. I do feel like I'm rambling, but yeah. Okay, so this video is getting kind of long. I do feel like I'm rambling, and I'm trying to cover my whole experience, my whole 150 plus hour experience in one video. So if you watched this video up to this point, thank you. First of all, I appreciate you, but I need y'all to kind of lock in, leave a comment especially if you have Killing Floor 3 and I missed something, or you have your own experience, or you want to talk about something specifically. Definitely leave a comment and let me know what's going on and how y'all feeling, and if I missed anything, because I know it's a lot. And this game has a lot to offer, but ultimately, bottom line in conclusion, Killing Floor 3 is solid, but it doesn't come without its problems. I think for $40, if you're interested in it, you're curious, you play these type of games, COD Zombies, Left 4 Dead, things like that, you like horde-based shooters or shooters in general, maybe you can give it a shot. $40, or wait for a sale, because it goes down and they fix things, add things, it could be even better. So yeah, that's my little experience with Killing Floor 3 after 150 hours solo dolo. But y'all let me know what's cracking. I'm not gonna draw this out any longer, and just like that, you already know, man, I'm gone.